Good morning everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the thin layer chromatography. Till now we have discussed about the different practical requirements or equipments which are included in TLC. First of all, we have seen different types of stationary phases what we are using in TLC, and after that we have seen what type of TLC plates we will use. That means the material which is made up of TLC plate is glass, especially. Mostly some people may use aluminum, but mostly they will use glass. And after that we have seen how the glass plate is prepared. That means after taking the glass plate, how we will make slurry. That means after taking the stationary phase or silica gel, we will have to mix it with one particular solvent or water, and then we will prepare it into a slurry, and then we will apply it on the TLC plate. That is called as preparation of TLC plate. Already we have seen earlier. And after the application of that slurry, we have to dry it. The drying of the TLC plate is called as activation. Why we are doing the drying means to improve the detective nature or elution nature of the TLC plate, and to remove the impurities or gas bubbles or air bubbles or any other impurities. We are doing the activation, nothing but the drying in oven for 1 hour in the 100 to 150 degrees Celsius temperature. After activation, we have to apply the sample. That application of sample is also like by using the capillary tube or micro injector. On that dried slurry TLC plate, we have to spot the samples. That is called as application of sample. After applying that sample, we have to keep that plate which is having the stationary phase and the sample, we have to keep in the development tank. That is, this is the development tank. This is the large that means most commonly used development tank in industries. At a time we can keep so many TLC plates, but whereas if it is in colleges or small scale industries, they will use old type of development tanks. In this we can keep only one TLC plate, and so after that advanced one also introduced. That means this is also development tank with single glass plate, single only, but here in the middle there is one hump like region. Because of this hump like region, at a time we can keep the TLC plates for development. Okay, this is another type or new type. In this we can keep at a time 2 TLC plates. Okay, mostly in the colleges they used to take this type of things, and whereas in industries for the bulk preparations or bulk separations they will use this type of development tanks. So after this we have to see in this development tank, I already told you we have to take the mobile phase before itself. We have to fill these development tanks with mobile phase, then we have to keep our TLC plate. So what are the different types of mobile phases we will use? First of all, selection of the mobile phase depends upon some categories. That means we have to select the mobile phase based on the substance which we are going to separate. That means what substance or what component we are going to separate. Based on the nature of the substance, we have to select the mobile phase which we are taking. And also one more selection category is not only the substance which we are going to separate, not only based on it, but also the stationary phase which we have taken also we have to consider while we are taking the mobile phase. That means the substance which we are separating and the stationary phase which we have taken, both will influence the selection of mobile phase. And also what is the mode of chromatography technique. That means whether it is a normal phase or reverse phase. Normal phase means both stationary phase is polar, natured stationary phase we have to take, mobile phase non-polar natured mobile phase we have to take, whereas in reverse phase polar natured mobile phase we have to take, and non-polar natured stationary phase we have to take. That means based on the mode of the chromatography, whether it is normal phase chromatography or reverse phase chromatography, also by concluding that or by seeing the nature or mode of the chromatography also, we have to select the mobile phase. And also how nicely the separation is happening, based on that also we have to select the mobile phase. That means and also one more thing is, if it is analytical, that means only separation is needed, just separating is only the thing, then it is called analytical. if it is preparative means after separation, the separated compound if you are collecting, then it is called as preparative. If it is only analytical separation, one type of mobile phase we can select. If it is preparative type of separation, we have to take somewhat critical or high quality mobile phase. So these are all the categories, or these are all the requirements for a particular mobile phase we have to select when you are using that mobile phase for TLC. What are those? Based on the stationary phase which we are using, based on the component which we are separating, based on the mode of chromatography, whether it is normal phase or reverse phase, and also based on the type of separation, whether it is analytical or preparative. Based on all these categories, we have to select the mobile phase. These are some of few important mobile phases which we are using in our daily laboratories. Those are petroleum ether, carbon tetrachloride, cyclohexane, carbon disulfide, ether, acetone, benzene, toluene. All these are some few examples of mobile phases, and based on the polar nature of these mobile phases, we have to use it depend upon the polar nature of those mobile phase. Especially it is very important, we have to consider the polar nature and non-polar nature of the mobile phases while we are selecting them for the separation. Okay, after that, after selecting these mobile phases, we have to take this mobile phase in the development tank, and then we have to put the TLC plate like this. You have already seen in the previous slide. No, first of all we have to take the development tank. In that development tank you have to add the mobile phase. After adding the mobile phase, then we have to keep the TLC plate. 1/4 level of the development tank you have to fill with the selected mobile phase, and then you have to keep the TLC plate very carefully without touching the edges. You have to keep the TLC plate in the development tank. After that, after keeping that TLC plate, you have to settle it, or you have to keep aside without disturbing for half an hour. That means, why we are keeping that half an hour aside without disturbing means we are giving some time for the separation or elution of the components which are present in that sample mixture. Then after keeping aside like that, this whatever sample which is present on the TLC plate, it will react or it will interact with the stationary phase and mobile phase. If that component in that sample mixture is having more affinity with the stationary phase, it will elute very slowly. If it is having more affinity with the mobile phase, it will elute fastly with the mobile phase. This is the separation which is happening even in the TLC system also, but you have to give some time for that development or elution process. Then the development or elution will take place. So that development or elution technique is of 4 types. That means elution means movement. Whenever we capture the TLC plate in the development tank, the elution or movement of the sample will take place. That elution or development is of 4 types. The one is vertical or one-dimensional. Next, horizontal, it is also one-dimensional, and two-dimensional and multiple development. In the name itself, it was denoting. Vertical development means, for example, see in this figure, second one, you can see nicely how after keeping the TLC plate in the development tank, the elution is taking place against the gravitation, that is called as due to capillary action, vertically. That too one-dimensional, and in vertical direction the elution taken place, that is called as vertical development. Or sometimes we have to change the slide position. First of all, in this development, for example, you can imagine that it is a development tank. In that you have kept your TLC plate like this, and elution have taken place in the vertical direction. After that, if you are changing the position of this TLC plate in 90 degrees clockwise, what will happen? The TLC plate will change its direction, and in this direction only you have to keep the TLC plate, and the elution will take place in the horizontal direction. That is called as, it is also one dimensional only. In one dimension, in one way only the elution will takes place, but in what way? In horizontal way. In vertical, it is also one dimensional. That means in one way only elution will takes place, but in a vertical way. In horizontal, we will change the TLC plate position into clockwise 90 degrees, and the elution or development will takes place in horizontal way, and in vertical, elution will takes place in vertical way. And two dimensional means, first in one development tank only, one slide only, first time you will keep in vertical position. After proper elution takes place, that plate only, that TLC plate only, we will change the position into horizontal position, and in that TLC plate only, elution will takes place in horizontal way also. That means in one TLC plate only, both the vertical elution and horizontal elution will takes place. At a time, two dimensional elutions will takes place. That is called as two dimensional development. And coming to the last one, multiple development. Multiple development means multiple times we have to keep the TLC plate in development tank for better elution. In one, after taking the TLC plate in one position, we have to keep for half an hour. After elution, we have to change the position of the TLC plate in another direction. After that, we have to change the position of the TLC plate into another direction. Like that, in all directions, we will change the same TLC plate, and you will see the elutions in all different types of directions. That is called as multiple development technique. Why? What is the use? Why we have to do these type of development techniques? One dimension is not enough or not? Why we are doing means, if there is complex mixture, that means whatever the sample mixture we are going to separate, if it contains multiple components, one component may not be separated in one dimensional elution technique. Some compounds will get developed in one dimensional elution technique. Few components can't be separated. Maybe those components need some more time, or in another direction maybe those components may get separated. That's why we are using multiple dimensions or multiple directions of elutions to give the complete separation of all the components which are present in that sample. That is the use for using this two-dimensional or multi-dimensional development techniques. After the development or elution has happened, we have to detect that final separated compound. How we will detect that final separated compound? Detecting or visualizing. That means after the elution or development has happened nicely with different colors. If you are getting the elutions in colored ways, because we can see those colored things or colored spots eluted, we can see through our eyes visually, we can separate it. That means by cutting those colored spots, we will filter it and we will separate the compound. But if those are not colored forms, then how can you separate or how can you detect those compounds? For the detection of non-colored or colorless spots, we are having two types of detection methods. One is specific method and another one is non-specific method. Specific method means, in the name itself we are telling that this detection process or this detecting agents we will use specifically only for one compound. That's why the name it is called as specific method. For example, if you want to separate either phenolic compounds or tannins, we can use ferric chloride as a detecting agent for the detection of that compound. After getting the TLC plate elution, we have to apply the ferric chloride reagent to that. If it is a phenolic compound, then it will react with the ferric chloride and it will give you the spots, and then we will detect easily. That means this ferric chloride we can use only for the specific compounds called phenolic compounds or tannins. And the next example, if you want to detect the amino acids, for amino acids we can use ninhydrin reagent in acetone solution for proper detection. Specifically only for those compounds only we can use this detecting agent. That's why these are specific methods. And another one is, you know already, for alkaloids best detection method is by using drag and drops reagent. And also for aldehydes and ketones we can use 2,4-dinitrophenyl hydrazine. Why this is specific methods means, these specific reagents are only used for the specific compounds. And another one is also there, non-specific methods. Non-specific means those non-specific methods we can use for the all the compounds. Non-specific methods we can use for all the compounds. There is no specificity, only we have to use for that compound, we have to use only for this compound. It is not like that. We can use these non-specific methods for all compounds. But what are those non-specific methods? We can see now. First one is iodine chamber method. Iodine chamber method means there will be one chamber which is having iodine crystals in that tank, or in that iodine tank, or in that iodine chamber there will be iodine crystals at the bottom. Whenever we are keeping the TLC plates in that iodine chamber, the iodine crystals will react with our separated sample mixture, and it will form the brown or amber spots. Based on that spots you can detect the sample. This is one non-specific method. We can use this method for so many types of compounds. And another method is sulfuric acid spray reagent method. In the name itself we are using the sulfuric acid. Along with that we have to add few mg of potassium permanganate or potassium dichromate and also nitric acid as an oxidizing agent to make the reaction between the sample spot which is present on the TLC plate and with this detecting agent to give brown color spots based black color spots. Based on that spots we can detect the sample. And the next one is you already know non-specific methods, mainly UV method, fluorescence method, refractive index method, visible colorimetry method. All these are also non-specific methods which we can use to detect the TLC plate. By keeping those TLC plates in the UV chambers or fluorescence chambers, they will get some spots which we can visually seen through this UV chamber light, and we will detect those spots and we will isolate them and we will separate them after detection through UV chambers or fluorescence chambers. These all are non-specific methods. Non-specific methods means iodine chamber method, sulfuric acid spraying reagent method, UV fluorescence method, UV spectrophotic method, colorimetric method. All these are non-specific methods, and based on the nature of these methods, these specific methods and non-specific methods are again divided into two types. That means for the specific method and for the non-specific method there are also another names. Those are destructive techniques and non-destructive techniques. That means the specific method is also called as destructive technique. That means we already discussed the drag and drop reagent for the alkaloids and ferric chloride for the phenolic compounds and tannins, and anhydrine reagent for the amino acids. Those are specific methods. Those specific methods are also called as destructive techniques. Why those are called as destructive techniques means, here whatever the reagents, drag and drops, anhydrines, ferric chloride, all those things, whenever we applied on that sample for the detection of that sample, the sample will not be useful further, because we are already adding some reagent. We are mixing that sample with some other chemical. So further that sample will not be used for further use or further experiment, because we are making it destructive by using some other chemical reagent. But whereas the non-specific methods like iodine chamber method, UV method, all those things, the sample whatever we are separating by using those non-destructive methods or non-specific methods, we can use it further. Sample will not get destructed or spoiled. That's why we can use that sample furtherly for further experiments also. That's why the non-specific methods are also called as non-destructive techniques. Why? The sample is not destructed or destroyed. That's why it is non-destructive, whereas the specific methods or the reagent using methods are destructive methods. Why? Because the sample got destructed or spoiled by using that specific method. Understood? And after the detection, finally we have to separate that sample. In that how can we separate? After the elution takes place, how much distance the sample got eluted or moved? Based on that distance we can separate the sample. That is called as qualitative analysis. You already know, whenever we are keeping the TLC plate in the development tank which is containing the mobile phase, we have to keep aside for half an hour. In that half an hour time, the sample will get interacted with both the stationary phase and mobile phase, and the sample will start eluting, that is moving. How much distance the sample got moved? Based on the distance, we have to compare that distance with the how much distance the mobile phase is moved. You already know mobile phase means moving. So mobile phase obviously will move or elute through the TLC plate whenever we are keeping in the development tank. But how much the sample is moving, we have to calculate and compare with the distance traveled by the mobile phase and how much distance traveled by the sample. Both we will compare and we will determine its ratio. Based on that distance, we will identify the compound. That is called as analysis or separated compound experiment calculation. So here there are three types of qualitative analysis. One is RF value and another one is RM value and another one is RX value. So RF value means I already told you how much distance traveled by the sample or solute divided by how much distance traveled by the solvent front. Solvent front means mobile phase. You already know mobile phase only will move. So how much distance traveled by our sample divided by how much distance traveled by our mobile phase is nothing but RF value. That means we are comparing. Stationary phase means it will not move, but mobile phase will move. So to that movement of the mobile phase, we will compare how much sample is moved. Based on that movement value, if it is more means we can declare that the sample is having more affinity with the mobile phase. If it is not moving that much when compared with the movement of the mobile phase, then we can conclude that the sample is having more affinity with the stationary phase. That's why it is not moving that much. If it is moving more means we can conclude that it is having more affinity with the mobile phase. So this is the formula for qualitative analysis. So for ideal solutions, usually the RF value will ranges from 0 to 1. Mostly if it is 0.3 to 0.8 means we can conclude that we have done correctly the experiment. So RF value should be mostly in between 0 to 1. For example, if the RF value is of every compound, how we will do? We will take one reference and we will take one stationary. This is the that one we will see in the RM value. This is called as RF value, and after that one more thing is RX value. RX value means, first of all, in RF value I already told you we will see the distance traveled by the sample compared with the distance traveled by the mobile phase. But in RX value we will see the distance traveled by the sample and compare with the distance traveled by the standard. That means here along with the sample we also spot the standard also. That means standard means already you know that compound name and already you know how much distance it will travel. When you see through the components, that means USP, BP, IP, all those things, you will have what is the constant RF value for that standard. That means you already know in mind the standard value, RF value of that standard. So we will spot sample RF value and standard RF value, and you will see how much elution takes place for sample and the reference or standard, and you will compare the distance traveled by the sample with the standard. If the sample travel with the same distance with the standard, you can conclude that maybe the sample is nothing but the standard. If it is not in the same distance traveled like that of standard, we can conclude that it is some other type of chemical. That is the thing, RX value. And RF value means only we will detect with the mobile phase movement. And in RX value, we will compare the movement of the sample with the standard. And final one is RM value. RM value means this RM value we will use for the homologous series. Homologous series means which are having same carbon skeleton like isopentane, isohexane, isobromine. All these are having CH skeleton only, but increasing carbon and hydrogen numbering. Those are called as homologous series. For those type of homologous series, we will use this RM value. The formula is RM is equal to log 1 by RF minus 1. RF value I already know. RF value means moment of the sample by moment of the solvent front or mobile phase. So we have to calculate first of all RF value. To that RF value, by doing 1 by RF minus 1, and totally by doing log for this 1 by Rf minus 1 we will get the Rm value. This Rm value we will use for homologous compounds, and Rx value we will use for the comparative study of reference or standard and sample, and Rf value we will use for normal sample by comparing with the mobile phase. But don't get confused, this Rf value we will use for preliminary testing of the sample by comparing it with the mobile phase movement, and Rx value we will use for the comparative study of the sample and standard, and Rm value we will use for the homologous compounds. And finally, advantages of TLC. You have seen all the things, what is the principle behind TLC, what are the practical requirements behind TLC, and how you can detect or quantify the separated compounds we have seen. So by using the TLC experiment for separation of the compounds, what advantages we are having? First one, it is a simple process and we can get the development or the elution of the sample in a very short time. And one more thing is, if it is a colored compound, we can easily visualize the color compounds whenever it got eluted in different forms of color bands. That will be very nice. And also by using this TLC plate we have isolated so many compounds and it is an easier process. And also here what means, even small differences in the chemistry, that means for example whenever we have spotted the sample, in that sample there are so many components, even the minute difference between those components also we can identify by using the TLC process. And also here see, the purity standards of the given sample can be assessed easily. Even for purity checking also we can use this TLC, and it is also cheaper thing, very efficiently working TLC plate, and also it is a faster one and also economical chromatographic technique. And coming to the final thing, applications. Here this TLC we can use it for the separation of so many drug chemicals mixtures, and also for separation of carbohydrates, vitamins, antibiotics, proteins, alkaloids and glycosides, and also for separation of impurities also we can use this technique. Thank you.